Welcome to Dopamine Discipline by Simo Benn, narrated by Mastery Audiobooks. This book is a modern guide to mastering dopamine, discipline, and focus to transform the brain, rebuild habits, regain male instinct, and live a purpose-driven, disciplined life. Enjoy the journey. Dopamine Discipline by Simo Benn. Rewire your brain. Rebuild your life. Copyright 2025 Simo Benn. All rights reserved. No part of this book may be reproduced in any form without prior written permission from the copyright owner. Cover by Amaragraphics. Published by Amazon. Dedication. To the ones who refuse to stay asleep. To the men who looked in the mirror and decided that comfort was killing them. To everyone who ever felt trapped inside their own mind, drowning in distraction, knowing they were built for more. This book is for you, the builders, the fighters, the ones who decided to wake up and take control. May this remind you that discipline isn't restriction, it's resurrection. And that the man you're meant to become has been waiting on the other side of your excuses all along. Acknowledgements. This book wasn't born out of comfort. It came from frustration, from watching strong men lose themselves to distraction, potential rot under pleasure, and ambition fade into apathy. Every word in these pages was written as a weapon, forged in real struggle, tested in real life. To the few who reminded me what strength looks like when the world tries to break it, I owe you more than I can say. You know who you are. To the thinkers and fighters who continue to push back against mediocrity, your discipline lights the path for everyone still trying to find their way out. And to the readers who took these pages and made them action, you're the reason this message exists. You prove, every single day, that transformation is possible. Stay awake. Stay disciplined. And never forget, your mind is the battlefield, and your focus is the weapon. About the book. Most people today are slaves, not to a master, but to their own minds. Their jailer is dopamine. Every scroll, every video, every cheap pleasure feeds the addiction. The modern world has made it easy to feel good and impossible to feel fulfilled. Dopamine Discipline, Rewire Your Brain, Rebuild Your Life is about breaking that cycle. It's about taking back control from the impulses that make you weak, lazy, and distracted, and turning your mind into a weapon again. This book isn't for the comfortable. It's for the ones who've had enough of mediocrity, who know they were built for more but can't seem to break out of the loop. You'll learn how the brain's reward system has been hijacked, how modern society profits from your weakness, and how to rebuild your habits, focus, and drive from the ground up. Every chapter hits with raw truth, no sugarcoating, no soft words. You'll understand exactly why your attention span is broken, why your goals keep slipping away, and how discipline can give you the kind of strength that no external pleasure ever could. This isn't self-help. This is self-dominance. You either control your dopamine, or your dopamine controls you. Choose discipline. Rebuild your life. Chapter 1, The Dopamine Trap. Most people have no idea what controls them. They think they're making decisions, but in reality, their brains are making decisions for them. They think they're choosing to scroll, choosing to eat, choosing to waste another hour, but they're not choosing anything. They're chasing a chemical. That chemical is dopamine. The invisible puppet master of the modern world. You wake up, and before your feet even hit the floor, your hand grabs the phone. Notifications, messages, feeds, instant stimulation. A drip of dopamine to start the day. You don't even think about it. Your brain craves it like oxygen. And that's the problem. You're not addicted to your phone, you're addicted to the feeling your phone gives you. That's how the system works. It doesn't need chains or cages. It keeps you trapped by feeding you endless micro hits of comfort until you no longer crave progress. You become predictable, passive, pacified. You stop chasing meaning because you've been trained to chase stimulation instead. Modern life has made dopamine cheap. Once, you had to earn your reward. Now it's on demand. You can feel a sense of victory without achieving anything. You can experience pleasure without progress, connection without vulnerability, excitement without risk. But here's the catch, when everything is easy, nothing feels good anymore. Pleasure loses its power when it's free. Dopamine is supposed to be your ally, the chemical that motivates you to pursue challenge, to build, to conquer. But when you flood your brain with easy pleasure, it backfires. You burn out the receptors that once drove your ambition. You dull your hunger. You forget what it feels like to want something deeply and earn it through effort. That's the dopamine trap. It convinces you that comfort is happiness and struggle is suffering. It flips your instincts upside down until you run from the very thing that would make you powerful. The truth is, your brain doesn't care about your goals. It only cares about survival. When dopamine becomes too easy to access, the brain adjusts. It lowers your baseline motivation. Suddenly, things that once felt exciting now feel like work. A hard workout feels unbearable. A book feels boring. Real conversation feels slow. You're not lazy. You're chemically exhausted. Think about that. You're fighting a battle not against willpower, but against biology. And the battlefield isn't out there, it's inside your own head. When you flood your brain with pleasure, constant food, constant entertainment, constant noise, your brain adapts by making pleasure harder to feel. You start needing more stimulation just to feel normal. It's why people spend hours scrolling without satisfaction, binge watch shows they don't even like, and chase shallow validation that fades instantly. Dopamine doesn't care if you're happy. It only cares that you keep chasing. That's how it's wired. It's the same mechanism that once drove hunters across continents and built civilizations out of nothing. But now that same mechanism is hijacked, redirected into screens, snacks, and distractions. You're still hunting, just for the wrong things. The modern world has weaponized dopamine against you. Everything around you, your apps, your advertisements, your habits, has been engineered to capture your attention and sell it back to you. You become the product, and your focus is the price. But here's what they don't tell you, you can take it back. Dopamine discipline isn't about removing pleasure from your life. It's about earning it again. It's about returning your brain to its natural rhythm, where reward follows effort, and satisfaction actually means something. When you start delaying gratification, you begin to rebuild your reward system. You start teaching your brain to crave the process again. That's how you get your drive back. That's how you regain control. It starts small, turning off notifications, setting time limits, cutting the noise. You feel withdrawal. You feel restless. That's your brain detoxing from artificial pleasure. It's like coming off a drug, because that's exactly what's happening. But after a while, something shifts. You start to feel alive again. The small things begin to feel powerful, a deep breath, a clean meal, a focused hour of work. Your brain reawakens. The fog starts to lift. This is where the foundation of discipline begins. Most people talk about motivation as if it's a spark that appears out of nowhere. But motivation is the result of discipline, not the cause. When you train your brain to earn its rewards, it rewards you with motivation. When you stop chasing instant gratification, you start creating delayed gratification, and that's the kind that lasts. The first time you resist temptation, your brain fights back. It craves the easy hit. But every time you win that battle, you rewire the circuitry of your mind. You teach yourself that you're in control. You build self-trust, and self-trust is the foundation of power. Because when you can trust yourself to act in your own best interest, even when it's uncomfortable, you become unstoppable. That's dopamine discipline. It's not about punishment or deprivation. It's about alignment. It's about replacing cheap pleasure with earned pride. It's about remembering what it feels like to want again, to wake up hungry for life, instead of tired from it. Once you see the trap, you can't unsee it. You begin noticing how most people live on autopilot, chasing the next distraction, numbing themselves with endless comfort. You realize that being addicted to comfort is worse than being addicted to pain, because comfort kills slowly. Discipline, on the other hand, revives you. It's not glamorous. It's not exciting. It's raw, repetitive, and ruthless. But it's real. It's what builds men who, every time you choose depth over distraction, you reclaim a piece of your sovereignty. But make no mistake, this war isn't fought once. It's fought daily. Every notification, every mindless scroll, every wasted minute is a test of allegiance. Will you serve your purpose or your impulses? Most people fail because they underestimate the enemy. Distraction isn't random. It's precision engineered. Your attention is their profit. Your weakness is their business model. To win, you must become strategic. You must build systems that protect your focus like a fortress. Delete the unnecessary. Silence the noise. Train your brain to function without constant stimulation. The first days will feel unbearable, like detoxing from a drug. You'll reach for your phone without thinking, crave stimulation just to feel alive. But this discomfort is proof that you're waking up. Your brain is remembering what stillness feels like. In that stillness, something powerful happens. You rediscover boredom. And boredom, when mastered, becomes one of your greatest weapons. It's the space where ideas form, where creativity breathes, where vision is born. The men who built empires didn't have infinite entertainment, they had time to think. You don't need more dopamine, you need more direction. Focus is a muscle. The more you train it, the stronger it becomes. Start small, 15 minutes of pure, undistracted attention on one task. Then 30. Then an hour. Guard that time like your life depends on it, because it does. Every block of deep focus is a strike against mediocrity. Every hour of presence is a rebellion against the machine. You'll start noticing the difference quickly. Your thoughts will sharpen. Your emotions will stabilize. The fog that's been numbing your awareness will lift. You'll stop reacting and start choosing. You'll walk into rooms and feel composed while others jitter with anxiety. You'll see patterns where they see noise. That's what happens when your dopamine isn't being drained by 1,000 meaningless hits. And as your focus returns, so does your time, and with it, your life. Because time without attention is worthless. You can have 24 hours and achieve nothing if your focus is fractured. But give me 1 hour of your undivided presence, and I'll show you a man capable of changing his world. The modern world doesn't need to enslave you with force. It enslaves you with fascination. It feeds your curiosity, your ego, your loneliness, just enough to keep you coming back. Every swipe, every ping, every flashing icon is a lure crafted by some of the brightest minds on the planet, trained to exploit the weakest circuits in yours. You think you're scrolling by choice, but you're not. You're being pulled by invisible strings that vibrate to the rhythm of your biology. You must understand this: the system doesn't want you destroyed, it wants you distracted. Distraction ends the transaction. Distraction keeps it alive. They want you half awake, productive enough to consume, weak enough to comply. They feed you the illusion of control, endless options, endless entertainment, endless information. But abundance of choice is the new cage. When everything screams for your attention, silence becomes rebellion. Your focus is the last real frontier of personal freedom. Every ad, every app, every platform is designed to drain it. These companies are not in the business of connection, they're in the business of addiction. The longer your eyes stay glued, the more money they make. Your attention is their currency, and you've been spending it like a fool. The only way to win is to step off their battlefield. Don't try to beat the algorithm, starve it. Every moment you refuse to engage, you reclaim sovereignty. Every second of silence is a small revolution. But silence terrifies the modern man because silence exposes truth. In silence, there's no escape from your own thoughts, no distraction to numb the void. Yet that void is where greatness begins. The men who change the world are those who've sat with themselves long enough to meet the person beneath the noise. When you begin to detox your focus, it will feel like withdrawal. The dopamine dips, the mind twitches, the body craves stimulation. You'll feel restless, irritable, bored. That's the brain screaming for its fix. But if you hold the line, if you refuse to feed the craving, something extraordinary happens. Your baseline resets. Suddenly, reality feels vibrant again. Music sounds richer. Conversations feel deeper. You notice details you've been blind to for years. Life stops feeling dull because your senses are no longer numbed by overexposure. That's when you realize, you were never broken. You were overstimulated. You were drowning in a sea of inputs that your nervous system was never designed to process. The cure wasn't more excitement, it was less. The strength wasn't in chasing pleasure, it was in mastering peace. You begin to live differently. You start doing one thing at a time, and doing it fully. You taste your food instead of inhaling it. You train without music just to feel your heartbeat. You listen to people without waiting for your turn to speak. You walk without needing a podcast in your ear. And for the first time in years, your mind starts to breathe. That stillness is not laziness, it's power returning home. The truth is, most men are terrified of being alone with their thoughts. They fill every quiet moment with noise because they can't face themselves. But you're different. You've chosen the path of discipline, and discipline demands solitude. It's in solitude that your brain resets, your focus sharpens, your intuition strengthens. You stop reacting and start seeing the patterns beneath the chaos. That's when you stop playing the game and start rewriting it. You become dangerous in a world addicted to distraction. While others flinch at silence, you thrive in it. While they seek comfort, you seek clarity. While they chase stimulation, you build strength. Focus becomes your edge, the weapon no one sees but everyone feels. When you walk into a room, people sense it. They feel your presence before you speak. That's the power of undiluted attention. But understand this, focus isn't something you find, it's something you build. It's the product of boundaries, not motivation. You can't expect to concentrate if your environment is built for chaos. Reclaim your space. Clean it, simplify it, make it sacred. Every object you keep should serve your purpose. Every device you own should obey you, not the other way around. Create friction between you and your vices. Make distraction inconvenient. Make discipline easy. That's how you turn focus into a lifestyle, by designing your world around your values. Every system, every routine, every habit should protect your attention like armor. You are no longer a consumer of stimuli, you are a commander of energy. And energy directed with intention becomes force. That's the law of creation. The moment you understand that, your relationship with time changes. You stop rushing because you realize control is more powerful than speed. You stop multitasking because you know depth beats breadth. You stop craving novelty because mastery feels better than chaos. You've escaped the loop, the endless cycle of cheap dopamine, shallow effort, and hollow satisfaction. Now you're building something real. And that's the secret no one tells you, focus feels better than distraction. Once your brain adapts, deep work becomes addictive in the best way. You finish a task and feel a rush that no notification could ever match. That's authentic dopamine, earned, not stolen. The same chemical that once enslaved you now serves you. You've turned the weapon back on its maker. The more you guard your focus, the clearer the world becomes. You start to see how chaos is sold as freedom, how noise is disguised as opportunity. You watch people chase 1,000 half-finished dreams, drained and distracted, never realizing they're running on someone else's leash. You stop needing to shout because silence becomes your statement. You stop trying to prove because proof radiates from presence. Every great man in history understood this truth. The ability to hold one thought until completion is rarer than genius. That's what separates the builders from the drifters, the leaders from the lost. The man who can hold a single vision in his mind, undisturbed by the world's noise, will eventually bend reality to match it. Focus is the seed of creation. Every empire, every masterpiece, every revolution began as a single point of attention held long enough to become form. And you feel it now, that rising clarity, that steadiness behind the eyes. The fog that once scattered your thoughts has burned away, and what remains is sharp. You don't crave stimulation anymore, you crave execution. You don't need the world to entertain you, you need it to yield. The same dopamine that once dragged. That's why monks, warriors, and masters across history all worshipped focus. It's not spiritual fluff, it's biological truth. The focused mind is the most powerful weapon a man can possess, because it bends reality to intention. Reclaiming the mind. 1. The inner battlefield. Regaining focus isn't about willpower, it's about rewiring the nervous system that modern life has hijacked. Every notification, every tab, every rapid-fire clip has trained your brain to expect instant novelty. The result is a restless mind that can't tolerate stillness. The first stage of reclamation, then, is detox. You can't rebuild concentration while your attention is chemically fragmented. Start with a dopamine reset. For 7 days, strip the brain of needless stimulation, no social media, no background noise, no multitasking. Keep music off except for deliberate training or work. Write by hand. Walk without earbuds. At first it feels unbearable, that's withdrawal. Your mind has been overdosing on novelty for years, silence will feel like starvation. But on the 4th or 5th day, something shifts. The fog lifts. You start noticing details, the rhythm of your breath, the weight of the air, the texture of thought itself. That's focus returning from exile. You'll discover that attention isn't something you try to have, it's what remains when you stop scattering it. 2. The power of single tasking. Once you've cleared the noise, you rebuild strength through deliberate monotasking. Choose one task, one goal, one environment. Close every tab, silence every device, and commit a block of time. Start with 45 minutes, expand to 90. When your mind drifts, bring it back gently but firmly. Each redirection is a mental rep. You're teaching your prefrontal cortex to override the limbic impulse for novelty. The process is like weight training. The burn you feel when focus slips and you pull it back is the muscle of concentration strengthening. Track your sessions in a notebook. After a week, you'll notice endurance increasing. After a month, you'll enter flow more easily. Proof that neuroplasticity is real and obedience to effort always pays. 3. The focus ritual. Create a pre-focus ritual that cues the brain, it's time to go deep. Keep it simple, consistent, and sensory. 1. Anchor the space. Sit at the same desk or table every session. 2. Signal the body. 1 breath pattern, 4 seconds inhale, 6 seconds exhale, to lower cortisol. 3. Set the timer. 90 minutes on, 10 off. The brain loves boundaries. 4. Protect the silence. Headphones, door closed, phone in another room. Repeat the same sequence daily and your nervous system will start dropping into concentration automatically. Pavlov trained dogs with bells. You can train your brain with ritual. 4. The discipline of subtraction. You don't grow focus by adding. You grow it by subtracting. Audit every element of your life that fragments attention, open tab habits, random conversations, background shows, clutter. Each item is a tax on cognition. Ask 3 questions for everything in your environment. Does this serve my mission? Does it calm my mind? Would removing it cost me anything vital? If the answer is no, it goes. Minimalism isn't aesthetic, it's strategic. Every unnecessary object, commitment, or relationship consumes bandwidth. The fewer moving parts, the fewer leaks in your energy system. 5. The concentration diet. Fuel determines focus. High sugar, highly processed foods spike dopamine and crash it just as fast, creating the same roller coaster as social media. Shift to slow burn energy, protein, healthy fats, water, micronutrients. Caffeine is a tool, not a crutch. Use it after the first 90 minutes of waking, never immediately. Hydrate before you caffeinate, oxygenate before you medicate. And fast occasionally. Even a 14-hour overnight fast resets neurotransmitter sensitivity and sharpens alertness. Hunger in moderation sharpens instinct. The mind wakes up when the stomach whispers. 6. Training the eyes, training the mind. Vision directs cognition. Every time you lock your eyes on one point, a barbell, a page, a horizon, you train the midbrain circuits responsible for focus. Spend 10 minutes a day in visual stillness. Pick a distant object, hold your gaze, breathe slowly. It sounds trivial, but it re-anchors your attention system in the physical world instead of the digital one. The body leads, the mind follows. 7. The attention guard. Treat your attention like a fortress with limited gates. Only 3 things should have direct access daily: your mission, your people, your recovery. Everything else waits outside. To enforce that, schedule attention windows. Morning, creation only, writing, training, strategy. Afternoon, communication, messages, meetings, social. Evening, reflection and recovery. Never mix them. Context switching is poison. Each time you stay in a single mode, you build thicker neural insulation around focus. 8. The dopamine contract. Write this on paper. I will earn my dopamine. That sentence changes everything. You're no longer a consumer of pleasure, you're its architect. Pleasure follows purpose, not the other way around. Each time you delay gratification, finishing the work before the reward, reading before entertainment, completing the training before rest, you re-educate your reward system to associate joy with effort. That's how you weaponize biology. 9. The mind as weapon. When the mind becomes focused, it becomes dangerous. Not violent, precise. You stop wasting words, stop scattering energy, stop chasing 10 ideas at once. The fog clears and direction crystallizes. People feel it in your presence. The focused man doesn't need to prove dominance, his stillness does it for him. But this level of clarity demands maintenance. Guard your sleep. Guard your solitude. Guard your purpose. Focus isn't something you achieve once, it's something you renew daily. 10. The reset. Even the sharpest blade dulls with use. Focus follows the same law. You can't grind endlessly without pause. The nervous system needs oscillation between intensity and recovery. The mistake most men make is chasing productivity until they collapse, mistaking exhaustion for effort. Real discipline includes restoration. Schedule resets deliberately. Every 90 minutes of deep work, step away for 10. No phone, no scrolling, just walk, stretch, or breathe. Let the eyes rest on distance, not screens. This resets dopamine to baseline and keeps concentration sustainable. Every week, take 1 day completely off your mission, not as escape, but as recalibration. Nature, silence, reflection, sunlight. When you return, the mind feels renewed, not restrained. Without recovery, focus becomes strain. With recovery, it becomes flow. 11. Entering flow. Flow is the reward state of mastered attention, that condition where time dissolves, effort feels effortless, and performance peaks. You can't force it, but you can invite it. The recipe is simple. 1. Clear goal. 2. Slight challenge, not too easy, not impossible. 3. Immediate feedback. 4. Absence of distraction. When those 4 conditions align, neurochemistry synchronizes. Dopamine rises moderately, norepinephrine narrows attention, endorphins mute pain. You lose the sense of self and become pure execution. That's the zone every athlete, artist, and warrior seeks, the space where the conscious mind disappears and the body takes over. The key is consistency. Flow isn't magic, it's repetition meeting readiness. The more often you enter it, the easier it becomes to return. Discipline opens the gate, focus keeps you inside. 12. The quiet mind. Silence is the final proof of mastery. At first, silence feels unbearable, the brain races, demanding noise. But when you train yourself to sit in stillness daily, even for 10 minutes, something sacred happens. The internal chatter slows. The body softens. Thoughts stop arguing and start aligning. Meditation, breathwork, prayer, call it what you want. It's not mysticism, it's maintenance. You're giving your mind a daily tune-up, clearing cognitive residue before it turns to rust. The quiet mind, your environment is either a trap or a temple. Design it to serve you. Keep your workspace clean, minimal, sacred. One chair, one purpose. Remove everything that screams distraction. Keep your phone out of sight. Put temptation behind friction, log out, delete, block. Replace noise with silence, chaos with clarity. Every time you reduce stimulation, your baseline dopamine resets. The silence that once felt uncomfortable begins to feel powerful. That's when deep work becomes addictive, because stillness becomes your source of strength. 5. The accountability mirror. Every night ends the same way, you face yourself. No excuses. No filters. Stand in front of the mirror and ask 3 questions. Did I lead myself today? Did I waste time? Did I keep my word? Be brutally honest. The mirror doesn't care about your feelings, it reflects your truth. If you failed, don't justify it, correct it. Write down the fix, and execute it tomorrow. The man who tells himself the truth every night never drifts far from his mission. Self-accountability is the oxygen of growth. 6. The dopamine diet. Discipline is what you feed it. Every input, food, media, conversation, either sharpens or dulls you. Treat your mind like your body, only consume what fuels it. No mindless scrolling. No gossip. No junk that steals focus. Replace consumption with creation. Read books that build, not feeds that numb. Eat food that sustains, not sedates. Surround yourself with people who challenge, not comfort. The disciplined man curates his life like a weapon, clean, efficient, lethal to weakness. 7. The evening reset. Discipline dies in chaos. End every day by resetting your system. Review the wins, record the lessons, and prepare for the next war. Write your plan for tomorrow before you sleep. Tidy your space. Lay out your tools. Charge your body with stillness, no screens, no noise, no late-night dopamine. Let your mind rest in silence so it can reload for battle. The reset isn't rest, it's strategy. Tomorrow's clarity is built the night before. 8. The weekly audit. Once a week, you step back and observe the battlefield. Review your goals, your systems, your emotions. Ask yourself, am I acting out of discipline or distraction? The answer will guide your next adjustments. Cut what's weak. Double down on what's working. Refine. Rebuild. Realign. Discipline is a living organism. It grows when fed, it withers when neglected. The audit is how you keep it alive. This is the blueprint, 8 pillars that turn intention into instinct. Each one rewires your dopamine toward progress, each one removes decision fatigue, each one replaces chaos with command. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to repeat. The secret of the blueprint is consistency. Once it's built, you live inside it. And when you live inside it long enough, it starts to live inside you. That's when you cross the line between practice and identity. You no longer have to try to be disciplined, you simply are. Your days move with precision, your focus sharpens into steel, and your life begins to take shape according to the laws you wrote for yourself. The blueprint isn't a plan anymore. It's a reflection. The man who follows it becomes the man who designed it. And when you reach that point, when your habits, your systems, and your chemistry all obey your purpose, you realize that discipline was never a prison. It was freedom disguised as responsibility. It was the path back to the man you were meant to be. You've rebuilt your brain. Now it's time to rebuild your world. Chapter 12. Rebuild your life. Rebuilding your life doesn't start with grand gestures. It starts with brutal honesty, the willingness to admit that you've been living below your potential, and the refusal to stay there one more day. You've rewired your brain. You've disciplined your dopamine. You've reclaimed your focus, rebuilt your instincts, and aligned your purpose. But none of it matters if you stop here. Mastery isn't a destination, it's a direction. The man you've become isn't the end of the story. He's the foundation of the next one. 1. The death of the old self. Rebuilding begins with demolition. You can't build a fortress on rotten wood. The habits, environments, and relationships that once served your comfort will not survive your evolution. Let them burn. The old self will fight for survival. It will whisper that you've changed too much, that you're losing people, that you're being too intense. Ignore it. Growth always feels like death to what no longer fits. Every version of you that settles must die for the next one to rise. That's not loss, that's ascension. 2. The body as foundation. Your body is not decoration. It's the vessel of your mission. Every rep, every meal, every hour of sleep, that's not fitness. That's infrastructure. You cannot lead with a body that's weak, tired, or undisciplined. Strength is clarity in physical form. Train for life, not aesthetics. Build endurance for the mission, not applause. Feed your body to sharpen your mind. The man who masters his biology masters his destiny. Every drop of sweat is a declaration, I am rebuilding from the ground up. 3. The mind as fortress. Your mind is your territory. Guard it like sacred ground. No more casual negativity. No more cheap dopamine. No more mental junk food disguised as news or entertainment. What enters your mind eventually builds your world. Feed it precision. Read with intention. Think deeply. Reflect nightly. Keep your inner environment cleaner than your home. The world's chaos will always knock, discipline decides who gets in. 4. The mission as compass. Every man needs a mission, something worth bleeding for. Without it, even discipline becomes hollow. Purpose gives your grind direction. Mission gives your struggle meaning. Ask yourself daily, what am I building? Who does it serve? Why does it matter? If you can't answer, stop everything until you can. Because a man without a mission will always fall for distraction disguised as opportunity. Write the mission down. Speak it aloud. Build systems that pull you toward it automatically. When your days align with your direction, life becomes frictionless. Flow replaces confusion. Progress becomes peace. 5. The tribe. No man rebuilds alone. Discipline isolates you at first, but eventually, it attracts others who live the same way, men who refuse mediocrity, who demand truth, who rise before comfort. Find them. Build with them. The tribe sharpens you. They remind you that iron sharpens iron, and that loneliness is not the price of growth, but the test before belonging. Build a circle that holds you accountable to your highest standard. Because isolation builds strength, but brotherhood builds legacy. 6. The system of life. A rebuilt life is a system, not a sprint. Structure your days with precision. Rise early. Move often. Work deeply. Reflect nightly. Eat clean. Speak less. Execute more. Each day is a repetition of excellence. Each action compounds. Each choice carves character into stone. You don't need to reinvent yourself every morning, you just need to follow the blueprint until it becomes instinct. Discipline is the skeleton. Focus is the muscle. Purpose is the heartbeat. Together, they create a living organism of progress. 7. The quiet power. When you rebuild your life, power returns in silence. You no longer crave validation. You no longer explain yourself. You move differently, slower, but with force. You speak less, but every word lands heavier. You've become grounded in something unshakable, command over yourself. That's what makes you dangerous, not aggression, but certainty. Not control over others, but mastery over impulse. The world feels your energy before you speak. That's real presence. That's earned power. 8. The legacy of the rebuilt man. The final stage of rebuilding isn't achievement, it's contribution. Once your life is aligned, your responsibility is to build beyond yourself. teach, lead, protect, create.